The November 2019 meeting of the Commission of the Elderly will please come to order. Please rise and join us in saluting the flag in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Terry, would you take the roll call this time, please?
Yes. John Wallace?
Here.
Mark Ryan?
Here.
Charlotte DeMarco?
Here.
Gil Protopappas?
Here.
Robin Theodos?
Here.
Mary Dion?
Here.
And Pat Robage.
Here.
I'll do it.
At this time, we'd like to recognize a couple of town selectmen, Jonathan Eaton, and Michael McCoy. Thank you for coming.
And one more. One more.
And
Joe Marie just walked in.
Joe Marie
Oh,
O'Mahony, thank you for coming. And also from Senator Tarr's office, Dick Curran. Thank you, Dick.
Thank you.
All right, I'll do my best to read the minutes of the last meeting. The meeting was called to order at 1:35 by Chair John Wallace, with a salute to the flag and a moment of silence. Roll call. Present was John Wallace, Mark Ryan, Charlotte DeMarco, Gail Protopappas, Robin Theodos, Mary Dion, and Pat Robage. Minutes of September 19th, 2019. Mark Ryan moved to accept minutes of September 19th, 2019 as written. It was seconded by Robin Theodos. Upon motion made and seconded, voted to accept the minutes. New business, movie day. Last movie day was held on October 10th, 2019. Calendar Girl was shown and it was well attended. A date and movie for the month of November will be announced at a later date. Game night. Game night has been successful. Last game night scheduled for this evening, due to priorities of events, are trying to determine if we will start in March of 2020. Flu shots. Thank you to Board of Health, Town Nurse Terry Mello, and nurse interns for providing high-dose flu shots to 40 seniors. Due to the limited number of high-dosage shots available, a number of seniors were unable to receive shots today. Thank you to Patty Meehan for looking into other options. Carewell and Tewksbury and Bill Ricker both have high-dosage flu shots available. Home modification program postponed due to scheduling conflicts, will be rescheduled in early spring. The Wilmington Fire Department Union breakfast. We would like to thank the Wilmington Fire Department Union for the annual breakfast that is being held at the KFC on October 19th, 2019, from 8 a.m. till 10 a.m. Great opportunity to meet some of the new firefighters. Halloween party. The Halloween party is making its way back after a year off last year. The party will be held Thursday, October 13th, 2019, starting at noon. Lunch will be served. Prizes will be awarded for the best costumes. Month of November. The department is taking the most of November to thank our representatives, senators, volunteers, businesses, community partners who have all helped to make the senior center what it is today. Medicare open enrollment. Open enrollment for Medicare runs from October 15th to December 7th, 2019. An informational program will be held on Thursday, November 7th, 2019 at 1 p.m. The department will have two fantastic Shine counselors, Marilyn Penny and Shirley Estro. Appointment. People are urged to contact Minuteman Senior Services if they have additional questions. Eye health, lunch and Learn series. Winchester Hospital Community Program will be offering Eye Health with Dr. Grupp on November 20th, 2019 from noon to 1 p.m. One of the leading health concerns in Wilmington is glaucoma. This program is also part of the Healthy Aging series with the Wilmington Memorial Library. Veterans Day Luncheon. The department will be holding a Veterans Day Luncheon on November 8th, 2019 at noon to honor all those who have served our country. Senator Tarr and Representative Robinson have been invited to attend. Center will be closed on Monday, November 11th, 2019 for Veterans Day. Please try and attend the Veterans Day observances. Center will also be closed on Thursday, November 28th and Friday, November 29th for the Thanksgiving holiday. Thank you to Mark Ryan for the wonderful job Mark did on postcasts regarding Audrey's conversation. Mark was able to speak to a number of people who attended Senior Center to talk about what the Senior Center means to them and what activities they participate in. Terry then discussed the selectmen's meeting that Terry, Laura Pickett, and Audrey Reed attended. At the selectmen's meeting, a motion was made by Joe Marie O'Mahony to form a committee to look into the possibility of a new senior center. Terry shared that selectmen's suggestions that the permanent building committee was better suited to handle looking into the new senior center than our commissioners, should be more active in giving their thoughts on a new center. Remarks for the commissioners. Commissioner Robin Theodore stated that parking a huge problem at the center. Commissioner John Wallace stated, we're not our parents' seniors. Center should be open late in the evening as well. Commissioner Robin Theodore also shared concern about the availability of affordable senior housing in Wilmington. Wilmington can do better. Terry shared that she's been thinking that since all the commissioners have expressed there is a need for a new senior center, that forming an informal group would be the next step. Commissioner Charlotte DeMarco stated, I'm tired of waiting. The selectmen don't care enough about the seniors in this town. Commissioner Mary Dion, I've been waiting 50 years for them to do something about the senior housing and nothing has been done. We need it now. Commissioner Robin Theodore stated the selectmen were you out until you're done. We're second-class citizens. Commissioner Mark Ryan shared that he spoke to a number of people in the center and he feels that a lot of people are feeling defeated. Some share that they are afraid that their taxes are going to be raised again. Mark stated we paid for everything else that has been built in the town, parks, schools, fields. Why are we being thrown to the wayside now when we are looking for a new senior center? Commissioner Gail Protopappas stated, we're never going to be around to see it. Commissioner Robin Theos responded, but should we at least get it started? Terry reminded the commissioners that years ago when the senior center was housed, what was then tumultuous, it took a strong group with strong leaders who worked together and got this senior center built. They made this center. We need to voice our options. Commissioner Robin Theo stated, even when we're vocal, we don't get listened to. Terry acknowledged Joe Maria O'Mahony being here, and that it was up to the Selectman O'Mahony who asked the Board of Selectmen to establish senior commission. Terry stated that that motion was not voted on. The Selectmen suggested working with a permanent building commission. Terry stated that Diane Allen has contacted Terry and is interested in working with seniors on how best to go forward. Terry stated that it is important for the commissioners to visit 4 or 5 senior centers in the area to see what they have to offer. What kind of senior center do we want? Is the kitchen big enough to be able to serve lunches on a daily basis? Are there a number of large rooms to handle multiple classes? Are there offices available for private conversations? Commissioner Robin Theodore described a time when she needed to have a confidential conversation with Terry, and they had to go into 3 different rooms in order to have some privacy. Commissioner Wallace questioned why town bought land if they're not gonna use it. Terry announced that the facility master plan meeting has been rescheduled to Monday, October 28th, 2019, at 7 p.m. at the town hall. Terry urged everyone to attend. Comments from the audience. Audrey Reed wants everyone to remember to wear their button to facility master plan meetings on October 28th. This will show support for a new senior center and will show pride. We have to keep the conversation going. They have to know we're not going away. Selectwoman Marie O'Mahony then spoke about wanting to attend this meeting to make sure that the seniors know that she has heard and wants a seat at the table. Selectman O'Mahony wants to keep the conversation going, feels a committee would be helpful to know what the needs, wants, and wishes of the seniors for a new center. Selectwoman O'Mahony wants seniors to have a seat at the table. Selectwoman O'Mahony stated that the selectmen felt Elderly Commission had a voice of the seniors, and they should be voicing the needs of the seniors, which is why Selectman O'Mahony attended the meeting. I hear what you're saying. I'm not giving up, and I hope you don't give up either. Linda Toth then stated that she is new to Wilmington and has always supported programs for children, but now that she is a senior, she feels that more needs to be done for seniors of Wilmington. Seniors have always paid for a new school, new fields, etc. And now seniors need to move vocally on their needs. Seniors need to get involved, need to ask questions, need to take control. We don't vote for people who are not behind us. Terry suggested that everyone keep voicing their opinions. Urge folks to attend the facility master meeting on October 28, 2019 at 7 p.m. If anyone needs transportation to the meeting, they should call the senior center. Adjourned. There being no further business to come before the commission, Robin Theodos moved to adjourn the meeting, and it was seconded by Mark Ryan. Upon motion and seconded, voted to adjourn the meeting at 2:25 p.m. The next commission's meeting is scheduled for November 21st, 2019 at 1:30 p.m. Respectfully submitted, Laura Pickett, case manager. Do we have any amendments or additions to the minutes as read? None. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
I make a motion to.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, at this time, we're gonna do new business. We're gonna turn the meeting over to the Director of Elderly Services, Terry Marciello.
Hi, everybody. Welcome here. Thank you for coming today. So we have a few things on our agenda that I'd like to go over before we go to the things that seems to be the most important and why people are here. As you see, we did say thanks again to the fire department for having that awesome breakfast for us. They, the union really worked together, as stated in the last minutes. Also, I want to bring to attention the program greet. Lisa Desberg, the English teacher over at the high school, was working very closely with our case manager, Laura Pickett, to make it possible for a program that we do every year, but this is our first year that we're actually doing with sophomores. We usually do it with seniors to seniors, seniors at the high school. But we decided to make a little bit of a change, and I think this is going to be a great opportunity. It'll be around approximately 14 students. She'll be bringing her class over, and there'll be approximately 14, 15 of us to take part in that. So that would be on November 26th, which, believe it or not, is next week. So also we're going to be on December 5th, Thursday. It's a Thursday night. We're going to be having a thank you dinner. As part of our theme for November was our thank you. We have to carry it over to December because November's just going by a little too quick. So we had to extend it. So we're going to be having, I know quite a few of you have already signed up for it. We'll be having dinner here at the Senior Center to say thank you to especially Senator Tarr and Representative Robertson for helping to have money come our way as to making changes and a little bit of improvements for our current senior center. We are also happy for another intergenerational program, which will be on December 12th, and that will be for kids from the high school also, our high competition on those gingerbread houses. So that will be happening then. Also, the Kiwanis has, as they do annually, has offered a lovely lunch in on Sunday, December 8th, here at the senior center. It will be Harrow's Pot Pie. So people who haven't signed up, please make sure you sign up. As a reminder, just as in previous notes, that the center will be closed on Thursday and Friday of next week, Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving, as the rest of the buildings in the town will be closed both of those days. The last thing that I would like to mention is that on December 3rd, we are having our special homebound meal that will be going out. We have several volunteers that have signed up. I think we do need a couple more. Rocco's is making that lunch for us to be able to be delivered, which is chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, and having a great group of volunteers to pass it out to approximately 80 to 85 people. But at the same time, I want to say thank you to the Daisy Group that is part of the Methodist Church. They are making the little gift that is going to be going with the meal, which is a little magnet to be going on people's refrigerators. I had the pleasure of meeting them 2 weeks ago, and they were ecstatic while they're doing the project, and you could not imagine the questions they had about the senior center. So in saying that, seeing as they did have a lot of questions, they wanted to ask if they could come up and visit with us, and we said most definitely yes. So, hello. Oh, then hello. So, so we're very excited about that. We're very, very excited about that. So I just want to give them kudos that, again, these young students that are first and second graders also see the need that to being part of the community and giving back to the community. And they are high-spirited, and I look forward to them as they get older. So the reason that we're here, quite a few of you, is the review of the programmatic needs of the Buzzell Senior Center. And at this point, I'm going to be passing it back over to John Wallace.
Okay, before I speak, I would like to thank Representative Dave Robinson for coming. Thank you. Okay. Today we'll be discussing the programmatic needs of the Buzzell Senior Center as requested by the town selectmen. I'm happy to report that the Board of Selectmen have requested the Commissioners of the Elderly Services to present our programmatic needs to them either on the Selectmen's meeting on Monday, December 16th or Monday, January 20th, 2020. Terry, if you would please send a letter to the Wilmington Selectmen that the Commissioner of Elderly Services appreciate of this opportunity would like to be added to the agenda for the meeting on Monday, December 16th, 2019. If we could hold any questions or comments until the needs have been listed. Talking points for a new senior center. Demographics. Wilmington has an aging population. Almost 30% of the adult population is over the age of 60. Reference 2018 town census. When the senior center first opened, that number was less than 2%. History. When the Buzzell School was opened as a school in 1935, subsequently it was mothballed. With the efforts of a small determined group in the 80s, it was opened as a senior center in 1986 and refurbished by volunteers, including local unions and the Shawshene technical students and paper products from Sweetheart Plastics. In essence, it cost the town nothing. As you can imagine, this 84-year-old building is showing its age. Quote from 2001 master plan. A senior center provides important services to seniors, as well as social and recreational opportunities. The demand for these services will only increase, and the town should ensure that there is adequate funding. This showing the master plan saw the senior center as a crucial part of the community back in 2001. At this time, I would like to introduce Robin Theodos, speaking on building deficits. Robin.
Hi. Building deficits. As mentioned in the 2018 Facilities Master Plan, page 12 of appendix, there is no sprinkler system. The downstairs is unusable and the drainage pipes are in poor condition. The minimum recommendation square footing for a building of this nature is 14,000 square feet. Reference Facilities Master Plan, page 36. That's 14,000. Our senior center is 8,308 square feet. 2,800 usable square feet. It is not energy efficient. 95% of the furnishings, tables, chairs, office furniture were donated by local councils on aging, assisted living, and businesses due to their being updates. The HVAC system is antiquated and provides brutally hot or cold spots. There is no space for privacy or confidentiality for counseling and meetings. Programs have been canceled in order to have special programs. Examples. Eat, Lunch, Learn, Winchester Hospital sponsored event, 85 people. Veterans Luncheon, 80 people. Intergenerational program, meet and greet with our sophomores. Students come to the center with their English teacher. No dedicated space for Memory Cafe. They have to leave this building to go to an outside facility. No dedicated space for art classes, painting. They have to leave this facility to get space. The building has inadequate parking and overflow parking requires climbing Mount Wilmington, which is not very fair to the seniors, as stated in the Facilities Master Plan on page 37.
Thank you, Robin. And now I'd like to introduce the vice chair, Mark.
Yes, I've been asked to talk about what a new building would offer. And so these are some of the things that have been mentioned. An improved and enlarged kitchen feeding seniors at lunch and providing meals on wheels. Provide a warming, cooling center for state declared emergencies. Provide large conference room for community meetings. Foster healthy aging through programs specific to seniors. Administrative office space. Provide conference office space. Central air conditioning and heat. Adequate parking. Adequate handicap parking. And most importantly, handicap bathroom and including raised toilet seats.
This time I'd like to introduce Commissioner Pat Robash. Pat?
Program possibilities, ping pong, billiards, designated room for exercise and exercise equipment, a ceramic room, sewing room, art room, daily lunch program on site, stained glass classes, and on the outdoor space, a victory garden, new bocce court, walking trails, and picnic tables, and a possibility of opening on Saturdays and early evenings, reopen woodworking group, and outside speakers on healthy aging affiliated with Winchester Leahy Hospital.
This time I would like to introduce Commissioner Mary Dion. Mary?
We're still in the process of collecting information, which includes going to local towns with approximately the same population and look at their senior centers. During the visits, all participants will have the same set of questions and review points to help in this process. We look forward to presenting in front of the selectmen on Monday, December 16th, 2019.
All right. Do we have any comments from the audience? Audrey?
Surprise.
I just want to say that all that goes to what we need. And I wanna know now, what is the next step? What is the ongoing thing we do next?
Our hope is that the selectmen will see the need to take the next step of a warrant for a feasible study for the next annual town meeting in May 2020. Anybody else?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, can we make comments right now? Go up to the table? Or is this my, we
Yes.
can do that? Can I do that, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Selectman McCoy?
Yeah, thank you.
Come on.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I just want to take a few minutes of your time. And I know Mrs. Clarkin called some folks around to see if they could get some folks here, but I gotta be honest with you. When I first saw the meeting about 3 weeks ago, I marked on the calendar, I have to be here because there were some comments made that are completely not 100% accurate. But I'll touch upon that in a second if I could. And we need to know basically what's going out there. A little background about myself. I was the original owner of Michael's Place Restaurant. We talked about, Mr. Chairman, a moment ago, about this facility here. And I remember in the date, 1984 to 87, I was a member of the planning board. I owned Michael's Place. I remember my uncle, and I've got a lot of great memories. My grandmother, Louise Maselli, used to work there. Edie Cunningham was the executive director. They did a fantastic job. And I would come down periodically, obviously, to visit my grandmother. So in the day, I know my uncle, we talked about the Shawshene Tech, but the union workers went all out. They donated the carpenter time, the electric time, the plumber time to do all the construction. And I remember my uncle telling me at the time, do you think we own a restaurant, could you supply the meals to all the carpenters and all the union workers? I did it with pleasure. I donated hundreds of meals. So this isn't like the first time I've been here. And I'll tell you folks, in the day, in the 80s, it's kind of exciting in here, in the early 90s, now we have candidates night as selectmen. You used to have candidates day. This place would be packed with seniors, and they would fire off questions all the time. And I always loved it. So, and I want to be here to let you know where I'm coming from. And I'm going to like to sum it up in a second. But what brought me here was that I respect my colleagues are here, and I see Selectman Mahoney was here. But there were some things that were stated that not 100% accurate. And I just want to touch upon a few things. Back at our selectmen's meeting, back on October 14, 2019, agenda item number 12. Selectwoman O'Mahony made reference that she wanted to have an agenda item that night. And the agenda item read, board to consider establishing a committee to explore a senior center and a community center. That was on the forefront of what that was Mrs. Mahoney wanted to do. And I can read from the apple in a minute, not my words, but you can see what was stated about that. The bottom line is, this is nothing new to me, and I've seen that, and I wanted to touch upon a few things if I could. I'm getting kind of used to the new smartphone like you folks, and I'm gonna touch upon what you folks said at the selectmen's meeting, October 28, about the computers. All right, so just a little background about myself a little bit, but I just want to say, and I'm not here to debate, but you need to sometimes set the record straight on certain things that was stated. And I see my colleague, Mr. Eden here. When the comments made that, well, I believe the other selectmen, misplaced, they don't have basically could have had a seat at the table. That's not true. I'm sure you're gonna see many selectmen here to sit at the table. Absolutely, and I've been doing it for over 30 years. All right, so, I just want to read an excerpt from you don't have to listen to me, but you can listen to other folks. So on that agenda item, that was what it was, and I understand she ran for election, she was pushing, I give her credit, senior center, but a community center. And it was always a community center. And I just want to read something from what the Apple printed. And I'm going to say, Selectman Mike McCoy did not like O'Mahony's idea to consider the senior center also serve as a community center. I think we should focus on one thing, a senior center, period, added McCoy, who noted he's a senior himself and still goes out at night. And I know there was talk about the senior citizens that at 5 o'clock you think we're dead and we go to bed. You ask my wife, I'm up all hours of the night. And a lot of these good folks, I see them out and about. But to have that premise about thinking, well, the seniors go to bed at 5, we'll open up the place for the young kids, that's not true. I'm gonna be 61 next month. I'm considered one of you folks, absolutely. I'm a senior. Oh, this phone shut off. Let's see if I can get it back on if I can. all right? If not, I gotta call my wife. But anyway, you know how that is, I hear. And I'm just gonna touch upon something, and, let's keep our eye on the ball. It should be one thing and one thing only, a senior center. Selectman Kevin Kyra even agreed with me. He even stated that, I agree with Mr. McCoy. This should be a senior center, not a community center. And I'm not trying to pit one person against the other person, but you know something? And I've had 3 kids go through the school system, 2 Shawshing Tech, and 1 went to the public schools. We've done a lot. I mean, I see my fingerprints on a lot of things in the town, and a lot of good select people at the time, in Taos Farm, Judy O'Connell, Kevin Kyra, Eddie Loud, and I supported ventures like that. We've done a lot. We've had plenty of soccer fields out there. Look at, the Patriots could be playing down at Taos Park. I think we all know that. But I think it's time has come for the seniors to actually have something of themselves. And I really, truly support that. And it should be, thank you. And what it is, hey, like I said, I'm a senior citizen right now, and I'm with you, all right, number one. Number two, you folks, all these years that you've been living in Wilmington, supported the new high school, public safety building, the middle school. And it's about time we did something for you. And I'm not like one of these Johnny-come-latelys. And I'll even state something that I said at the meeting on October 28th. So I don't come here to debate, I just state facts. And that's true. She did say, and she was right, well, I put a second out motion, I didn't get a second. Well, that's not 100% accurate. That is accurate, that part, but the goal was to put a community center, and that's exactly what you wanted to do along with the senior center. So you've got to know that. And I just want to say, in summing up real quick, I got to put my reading glasses on too, folks. It's just that, at the last selectmen's meeting, October 28th, when we had it in the auditorium at the town hall, and a lot of folks got up and spoke, and I respect everybody here. I respect a lot of folks. And then I said at the end, it's not about me, but something, and I asked, and I do, I'm not afraid to ask town manager, how some tough questions. And I brought up the free cash. And something, since that time, he was saying, well, we only got like 22 million there. We have right now $38 million in free cash right now. And I say, sometimes, Mr. Chairman and the members here, and Madam Director, sometimes you need a little jump start. I said, why don't we take the $8 million out of free cash now, build a senior center now. Why don't we take $8 million out of the free cash, that's what it is, and do something in public safety, maybe give $8 million to the schools to do something. And I said, by the time we even have a shovel in the ground in the second year, we're gonna replenish that and be back up to $20 million. But I found out at the last selectmen's meeting, after that meeting, that not only did we pay all our bills, right, by Prop 2.5, by the guidelines of the state, basically taxing everybody to the max. Obviously, myself and other selectmen in the past, always done the right thing by doing the tax shift to commercial, trying to give you the best bang for your buck. We put $6 million back into the bank account since last year. For the past 4 or 5 years, we've been banking $4 million a year, above and beyond what we tax everybody. We now have $38 million free cash. I think it's time that we broke open the piggy bank and did something. And I'm gonna say this, folks, and I know we can put 50 people in a room, have 50 different opinions, and I wanna work with everybody. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here, and I'll tell you something. Nobody knows more how to put a town meeting article together than myself, and I've done it several times. I would love to see, and I'm happy to do it, craft an article at this town meeting, take $8 million out of free cash and actually do something with it. And when I said something to that fact at the last meeting, to say we need a jump start, several people came up to me, I like your idea, Mr. McCoy, where we can actually do something now. And I know I took a couple times, Mr. Chairman and members and the director, but something, I think we all need to be on the same page. And I'm not pitting one selectman against another, but something, I think all the other selectmen that are on here, Mr. Bendel, Mr. Curry, do care for the seniors, absolutely, but I would rather do something now. Let's not wait. Hey, I've been in this game 30 years, and I've seen proposals, yeah, we're gonna do this in 2022 or 2023. Folks, I've seen things get pushed off and maybe not even take off. That can happen, so don't think for a moment, come 2022, 2023, according to the Master Facilities Plan, that we're gonna build the senior center. That could get put back for several years. And God forbid, I think a lot of folks, and I think everyone's kind of young here anyway, like myself, I mean, some people say, well, I wanna see a senior center before something happens. And I'll say one thing, in Tewksbury, I had the pleasure of going visiting the Tewksbury Senior Center, and I'll tell you, the dance floor out there is about the size of this whole building. You know, so I know it's time, and like I said, I'm not here for the sake of just being here. You know, I care about the seniors, I'm one of you folks, and I think we've done a lot to our young kids in this community, Mr. Chairman, creating the ball fields and a new school and a middle school. You know, and I think we do help the seniors from year to year, putting the money into the budget, making sure that you have a, you know, case manager working, put in the budget where not you have another part-timer with the veterans in here, the seniors. So we're doing what we are doing out there, but I think that it would be time, and it's your time, and I get it. I get the buttons, and I even acknowledge Mrs. Reed, Audrey Reed, in the audience when I was there. I'm with you, I see it, I'm with you. And I think we need to do it sooner than later, and I'd be more than happy to craft an article for the next town meeting and actually put it on the town meeting floor and let the people vote at the town meeting whether they want to build a senior. But the trick is, folks, you've got to get out there and get your people to the town meeting. That's the key, and people do that all the time. You know, so I'm not here to have debate, but I'm just stating facts, and I respect my colleagues here, but that was the big push, senior center / community center. We don't need a community center, folks. We need a senior center, period, for you folks, and that's it.
Selectman McCoy, thank you.
Thank you.
Selectman
A
McCoy,
little of that oxygen in the back.
Selectman McCoy,
Yes.
can I ask a question through the chairman,
Oh,
directly to you?
yeah.
So you were saying about a warrant, you know, crafting a warrant.
Crap, yep, sorry, I'm sorry.
Would you be, as John had mentioned, we're questioning about the fact of a feasibility study. Would you be interested in backing a warrant for something like that?
What would be interesting is crafting a warrant article to make an appropriation at the town meeting 2020 to take $8 million out of free cash and to be done with it and appropriate that money to build a senior center now, not 3 years from now. That's what I'm talking about. And any person in this room can craft an article. They do it all the time on zonings and, you know, they did it, hey, we did it for Yenthouse Farm. We did it to purchase St. Dorothy's Church. We did it to purchase any other town-owned property that we wanted, that we thought was suitable. And it can be done, folks. It's not a big deal. It can get done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience? I'm happy to answer any questions from anybody. Yes, ma'am.
I need lower taxes, not higher every year.
I hear you. And what the town manager does, and I'd be remiss not to say, is that they have been raising the taxes by the guidelines of 2.5 at the maximum. But what we do is, and I've done it, I used to own Michael's Place, all right? I always put the more tax burden on the commercial. So on one half, I raise the taxes of the commercial real estate in this community by keeping in mind to try to keep the residential rate as low as possible. And we've done that historically on the tax shift, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Selectman McCoy.
Yes, ma'am?
Hi,
Would you please come up so that you're facing the audience and we might be able to hear you better? I would appreciate it.
sure,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Deborah Russo, and while I appreciate, everything that you said, and I appreciate you being willing to sponsor a warrant article for the town meeting in May, but I have to agree with Ms. Marciello that the first step before you can say, we want to build a senior center and here's $8 million is to get a feasibility study done and just to have the facts out on the table so that when we do come before the town meeting again to ask for money to do it, there's a plan there. There's something that makes sense. There's something that shows what the possibilities are. To just say, here's $8 million for us, I don't think people will, I think it's too big.
Well, through you, Mr. Chairman, you can incorporate a lot more into the article. You can make an amendments on the floor. What I'm talking about, let's get $8 million, build it now. No, you could, and I'm just talking, this is at its infancy stage. You make the appropriation at the town meeting, okay, of say $8 million, with the understanding that the Board of Selectmen, you give them the authority to go out and find the piece of property and actually put it on the Board of Selectmen's shoulders to actually do it. It's not like, let's get 8 million and pull a ticket out of a hat. I'd craft the article so it'd be very specific of the appropriation, giving the power to the Board of Selectmen to pick a piece of property, we talked about certain areas, and that, that's, to that, I'm just a little dry, to that. And I get what you're saying, but if we keep on waiting until another study, and I understand what you're saying, and maybe 2022, 2023 might be more palatable for people at the town meeting to say, well, we don't wanna do that,
With all due respect, the idea of making the Board of Selectmen responsible for the senior center kind of makes me cringe. And not to be insulting, I just think that we need to have other eyes to see exactly what we need. Somebody who will actually work with seniors in a way that I'm not sure the Board of Selectmen is equipped to do. And also, to keep any politics out of the location. That's just my opinion.
I appreciate
Thank
that, I
you.
respect that.
Thank you.
I'm done.
It takes politics to get what you want. That's, all right, so let's be truthful, when we take, when we look at that. And I get what you're saying, and I don't mean to debate, folks, but I'm just here to say, I'm here to help you folks. And I think that's the way to do it. You wanna put it off 3 or 4 years, maybe some people, but that's the great thing about having a town meeting. You can say, I don't like this employee's idea. I wanna wait till 2022, 2023. What happens if it gets kicked out to 2024, 2025?
And why do we have to wait that? Would you consider, or would you be open to sponsoring a warrant article, creating a warrant article?
Yep.
To do the feasibility study with the idea that, once that's done, we can put,
The feasibility study's being done, it's already been done, and I know Diane Allen could speak more elaborately than I could, and there is a game plan, but you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars over the next 20 years. That's what you're looking to spend. So I just say it once again, if you've got $38 million, can I tell you, come next year, it'll probably be 44 million. And the year after that, it'll be 50 million. A couple of years when it's 50 million in the bank. When should we start spending that money? And not, because I'll be honest, I'd rather spend the money now instead of doing a 2.5 override, or even a debt exclusion on that fact.
Thank you, Selectman McCoy.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Are there
Appreciate
any
it.
other, ma'am?
Great job.
Diane Allen, a member of the Permanent Building Committee and the Master Facilities Plan Committee. I just want to make a couple of points here today that I think are very important. What Mr. McCoy is talking about is sponsoring a warrant article. I think it's a wonderful idea, and perhaps there is a way to word it so that the monies that are allocated are both for the study and the construction. Now, it's my understanding of the 38 million, and I'll have you correct me, Mike, is that we're talking about 2 funds that are being combined, correct?
Correct.
We have the Capital Stabilization Fund, which has about $14 million in it.
Yes.
And then there is the free cash fund, which has $24 million in it. My understanding also is in taking money from the free cash, it only requires a majority vote at town meeting.
Correct.
If we take money from the capital stabilization account, and they are 2 separate accounts. The Finance Committee will work with the town manager in deciding where it comes from. But the Capital Stabilization Fund was established for large maintenance projects as well as the replacement of buildings. That's what that money was put aside for. So Mr. McCoy is absolutely right in that the town does have money to replace this building. In the master plan report, the Bazell Senior Center has an estimated cost based on the 14,000 square foot building they had suggested would be a minimal size building for this town, minimal, because, and the reason I state that, is that the elderly population is growing exponentially in this town, more so than any of the surrounding towns. And so a footprint of 14,000 was what was established. But I think if you look at the items that you people presented today and the volume of people, I'm not so sure that was even made known here, the number of people that you have registered here as seniors?
Close to over 2,000.
Over
Over
2,000. Over 2,000 senior residents are
Oh,
registered.
for
For the senior center.
Oh, for the senior, yeah, well over 2,000.
Well over 2,000. We have approximately over 3,500 seniors currently living in town, and that number's growing. I believe the consultant estimated that by the year 2030, we were going to be 169% growth. So we have a very large voting population in this town of seniors. There definitely is a need. My concern is that this report, this master facilities report, is a blueprint and an overall general report to tell the town what needs to be done to their municipal buildings that they currently have, as well as what buildings are not worth putting the money in anymore for maintenance, but actually need replacement at this time. And I know that the senior center is at the top of the list. Our consultant was amazed when he came through this building and evaluated it according to the overall population of this town, which I believe is a little over 24,000. The population of this town probably is going to stay about stagnant at that number. The children going into school is pretty stagnant. But the senior population every year is growing. So I totally support the need for a new senior center here. I think that some way, maybe the selectmen could work into the article that an appropriation be made for the construction, and within that amount of money, that so much of that money be set aside for a feasibility study that would come out, cite the areas that would definitely be the ones to put a permanent new senior center. Does it have the space? Does it have all the requirements of all the programmatic needs? In addition, that feasibility study would then lay out the footprint for the building according to the programmatic needs, and would probably estimate a footprint of a building looking at the build out of the increased senior citizen people that are growing in this town. Thus, I think the talk was about a feasibility study. Being on the permanent building committee, that is the normal progression that you move to get the final number and the place to put the building, okay? I don't know if, where the town hall is, if it's feasible. I mean, this report said it is, but that's not the only piece of land that this town has. You and I both know, and the consultant said it over and over to us as a committee, you are a very fortunate town. You still have a lot of open space that you own to consider the placements for these new buildings that you have to replace. But he was very, very clear that several of them have definitely outlived their usefulness. It is crazy to put money into this building, crazy. And George Hooper, I know he's not here today, but he knows these buildings of this town inside and out. And I am sure that if there was something that he disagreed with, he had no problems with speaking up to the consultant. He was definitely in agreement when they were talking about the replacement of buildings. So I am here to say that of this, facing this projected number over the next 20 years of $143,573,000 to do all the building replacements that we needed, plus the maintenance upgrades, it was definitely not going to be in 1 year. It was talked about over a period of time. Now, this report was actually completed in January of 2018. It took us until October 28, 2019 to hear the beginnings of this report. I don't know why, but we finished it. Your town manager was at every single meeting. He knows better than anybody what is in this report. So he is the CEO of our town. You, the selectmen, are the board of directors. You are going to listen to your CEO with regard to the money matters. However, you are the people that these townspeople vote for. And no matter what he feels is the priority, the people of this town are going to tell you what they feel is their priority. And if they want their tax dollars to be the priority of a senior center over a town hall or over the school administration building, that's their prerogative. And that's what they plan on doing. And I think that they don't want the momentum to stop. And I can tell you it is not going to stop. And I think they're moving in the right direction. And I offered to be a part of this focus group that looked at the programmatic needs of this building. I also offered to visit other senior centers to not only see what was better than ours, but to find out what they did wrong. Because that's more important to know what they did wrong than what they did right. And you find out that information by visiting these senior centers, okay? And that can be ongoing, because if you're talking about May for the warrant article, I would realistically say, if Mr. McCoy sponsors this warrant article at the selectmen's meeting, the selectmen vote on it, it goes to town meeting in May, it's approved by a 2/3 vote. The next step will be for the town manager to prepare a request for proposals. And what happens then is he gets his permanent building committee members together, just like we did with the master plan committee, all the permanent building committee members. The same thing that was done with the high school, the same thing that was done with the middle school. Entertain proposals, you hire your consultant, he prepares the facility plan, he draws the schematics, he cites the area for the best place to place it, and he comes up with the final number. And from there, I think, if you're locked into a specific number, then you gotta build around it. That's the only disadvantage of going the whole shebang, Mike, okay? If you vote the feasibility plan only, which could conceivably cost, I don't know, maybe $500,000 to hire a consultant to prepare. I mean, this is a very detailed thing that we're talking about. You would have preliminary designs, you would have schematics, you would have cost estimates, you would have siting plan options. And I would say that probably by September, you would be able to have the request for proposals go out. Probably about a 6-week process going through the bid process of allowing it to be publicly bid and hiring someone. I would say realistically, by the end of 2020, you would have a consultant on board to do it. And you give them a time frame that it needs to be completed so that you can have it ready for the annual town meeting of May 2021. And that's all the information I have to.
All I'd like to
That's a lot of.
thank you very much for coming. And for that very valuable, I'd like to thank you for coming for that very valuable information.
Thank you.
Anybody else, Mr. McCoy?
Oh, no, I just want to make a comment, Mrs. Allen, if I could, 20 seconds.
I'll give you 20 seconds.
I don't, if I go over 20, I'll find everybody done. Real quick, she put it together so eloquently, I don't think I could have even come as close, number one. Number two, she said about sponsoring an article at the selectmen's meeting. I didn't say that, I might just do it on my own if it didn't get the support. So anyone in this room can do an article on their own, you don't have to get the blessings of the Board of Selectmen, and it's been done before.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that clarification.
19 seconds, thank you.
Thank you.
Shucks,
Okay, Selectman,
Just Joe is fine.
Oh, man.
That's a mouthful. Everyone's been struggling with it today. Just a few things. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Thank you for having me again. Thank you for the phone call to invite me back. I already had it in my calendar. I agree. I don't want this to be a debate, but I have to point out that for someone who's been on the board for 30 years, no amendment was made. So I didn't come to the October meeting to throw my colleagues under the bus on the Board of Selectmen. I only talked about it when it was so clear how you guys were feeling, that it wasn't a motion denied, it was a motion never even seconded, or a motion even offered to be amended in any way. I came to that meeting because I respect Selectman Eaton, who referenced your commission, saying that you guys were gonna be the ones that could offer us the information, and I wanted to hear what you had to say that day, and I'm glad I came because I got to hear what you said. And I did ask for a seat at the table for whatever committee you were creating, because I wanted to be a part of it. And all I came up here to say right now is, you know, I was not campaigning in October when I came to this meeting. And whether or not I am elected next April, I still want a seat at the table. Because that is the one thing I am promising. I don't come to this stuff because I want your vote. I come to this stuff because I think you're an underserved part of our community. And that won't change no matter what prefaces my name come April whatever for the next election day. And I just wanted to make sure that that was clear. That that's not, you know, we have to do what's best for our community. I don't want to offer a warrant to, you know, throw this random number out there. I have to say, quite frankly, I'm happy that Selectman McCoy is not in charge of my bank account, because this isn't the first time he's offered free cash to some project in town. The reality is Jeff Hull has a difficult job. He has to balance all of these needs that probably should have been addressed sooner. I think that's one of the problems we're having right now, is we have a lot of needs that are coming at the same time, and now we have to triage and we have to prioritize them in a way that we might not have needed to do 10 years ago, right? So I want to hear all the information. I appreciate when we have Ms. Allard giving us this information so we can process it, and I definitely agree that a feasibility study makes sense as the next step, because the only people that can tell us what you need is you. And the only reason that the community center was included in that is because what I have found in other towns is that when senior centers are put with some other use, like a Veterans Affairs or a rec department, the town jumps on board quicker. So I was just trying to see, what else does the town need? We need indoor space for all ages. We don't have that right now, and that's why I included it. But I certainly wouldn't have withdrawn my motion if someone had asked to amend it to just the senior center, because I understand that's the priority. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you.
All right?
I'd like to thank you for your time. Anybody else?
Yes,
Selectman Eaton.
Good afternoon. I did want to thank you for allowing me to speak today. And more importantly, I did want to thank each and every member of the commission for coming with notes to talk about some of the limitations that this building has. To kind of back up just a little over a month ago, some of the comments that were made at the October 15th meeting of the Board of Selectmen was that we wanted to hear directly from not only citizens and seniors in town, but also directly from the Elderly Services Commission. Some of the comments that I made at that time was reading directly from the inhabitant bylaws about the role that the Elderly Services Commission has in setting the program catalog for the senior center and the Elderly Services Director. So I've been taking notes as each of you have kind of gone around and talked about some of the limitations of this building and the things that you would like to see in a new senior center, and I do hope that comes to fruition. I do want to address some of the comments that were made last meeting as well, because I may disagree with my colleagues on the Board of Selectmen, and Ms. O'Mahony and Mr. McCoy certainly will agree with that statement, but I have absolutely no doubt that each member of the Board of Selectmen cares very deeply for what every resident, including seniors, has for this town. So I do not want to at least leave this meeting with that issue unaddressed. So we care very deeply about the issues that affect seniors in town. I'm very well aware of just the statistics involved and how the population over 60 in town is the fastest growing demographic in town. I see that, and I ran a campaign, and I believe that I was elected because I said that I had two primary building priorities: the fire substation in North Wilmington and a new senior center. And I want to stay true to that and stay consistent to that, because there's nothing that has happened in the year and a half that I've been on the Board of Selectmen that I think has changed that. Now, there are other issues in town, as Ms. Allen very eloquently put, as to some of the needs for our facilities. And I'm glad that the discussion that we had back in mid-October has led to the Elderly Services Commission being invited to one of our upcoming meetings, because what each of you went around and said, these are the limitations, these are what I'd like to see, that's what we want to hear. And we want other folks to hear, because in the end, we're just 5 folks that have some control over the warrant at town meeting, but we have open town meetings, so the folks that show up are the folks that vote on this. And those are the folks that I want to know about what the different limitations are in each of our facilities, senior center being certainly one of them. I do want to, again, I thank you for your time. I'm not going to take any more of it. I will answer questions, and I'll stay as long as somebody wants to talk to me, because I want to listen. I want you folks should be telling me what you think should be happening, so that I can digest that and best represent you on the board. And I know that each one of the 5 members of the Board of Selectmen feel the same way. So thank you.
Thank
If
you
I
for
could
your
just,
time.
can I just say something?
Sure, go ahead, Terry.
I just want to say, Selectman, thank you so much because of your terminology of programmatic needs, and wanting to know exactly how, what the needs are of the center and what our future, what we see as a future senior center as the needs for that. I want to thank you very much in heading us in that direction as the commission in that direction. And it just so happens, as you head us in that direction, and we were speaking about a permanent buildings committee, and that's how indeed we got to meet Diane Allen, who, as you see, is a very good asset. So without that direction, that probably wouldn't have happened, so we do thank you very much.
Yeah, just I mean, I don't want to kind of just clarify to I guess my own detriment, but my comments at the Board of Selectmen meeting was actually not specific to the Permanent Buildings Committee. Town manager had mentioned that, but my comments were specific to wanting the Elderly Services Commission to come in front of the Board of Selectmen so that you folks could tell us what the limitations of this facility is and what you guys would like to see. Because that, I think, is the most important. You folks are the appointed officials in town, the appointed residents in town that answer to a lot of folks that are here today, and the over 2,000 people that come to the door of the senior center. And I thank you for the work that you folks put in, and I want to hear what the limitations are and what you guys would like to see a new senior center be. What happens next is a very complicated issue. Ms. Allen spoke to that as well, because if it's going to be in one place, is that something that there's a current building? Because if there's something that's already there, where are we going to put those folks? So it's a complicated issue. There's a lot of moving pieces, but I think the next step to Chairman Wallace's comment is advocate for your constituents in front of the Board of Selectmen and make sure that everybody knows what the limitations of this facility is, and continue kind of reaching out to us and making sure that we're aware of that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time and your information. Any other comments from the audience? Yes, sir.
Ken Clarkin. Just a question, we're talking about having two available funds to create a new senior center, either being free cash or the, capital?
Permanent building.
What's that? Okay, but I seem to remember that when we built the new schools, that the state got involved and provided some funding. And just a question, is there any state funding or a mandated or any requirements that the state would have or be able to help out?
Representative.
Sure, thank you. So, going back, and I was growing up in the time when Tewksbury was undergoing the same venture. First and foremost, I think the feasibility study is important. For anyone that's gone over to the way of Tewksbury, we know it's an architectural gem, but when it comes to the actual practicality, sometimes there's some things left to be desired, such as 25-foot tall ceilings, which kind of run our HVAC system a little tough. But on the other hand, too, they incorporated some great ideas, like curved parking around the building, which greatly reduces the walking distance to handicapped, accessible parking spaces, and they made sure to mitigate any changes in altitude among the floor and all that. But getting back to your point on the fiscal part, Tewksbury at the time, under the leadership of Town Manager Cressman, did allocate town funds. There was an $850,000 grant. Now, granted, this was in 2004, which later became the subject of controversy in Tewksbury because the town incorporated it to the initial budget for the construction of the senior center, but was not ultimately awarded it. Our late friend, Representative Maselli, he also had $200,000 from the House budget and then worked to restore it to get that grant back from the state. So there are monies, but it is a competitive grant, and there'll be a process there. And that point, I'm happy to check with the Executive Office of Elder Affairs. They're the ones that typically oversee such things. Mm-hmm. But usually when we get to that point, they're going to want to see something at least drawn up and with some explanation and some kind of meat behind it for that. They're going to understand, they're going to hear our issues with having an 85-year-old building. They're going to understand that our kitchen's too far, but they want to see they want to see the record of the horse they're betting on here and what the future looks like. So I think over the next few months, as I said, the fire station is fairly straightforward, right? It's a concrete pad with cinder blocks on it. These aren't very difficult things. There's no reason the town can't proceed with that while we're designing the senior center, what we would like the senior center vision to do. So we can do that simultaneously. And once we have that within a couple months or within the next year, it would be easy to pitch it to the state and say, this is what Wilmington wants. It's facing a growing population in terms of demographics for those 65 and older. This is where the previous building shortfalls are. This is what's addressed in our new plans. Here's what we're looking to bring to the table that's never been done before. And I think we'll have a real winner. But my short answer, because it seems like everyone political is talking along, yes, there are state funds there. We just have a couple hurdles we got to
looking to get those state funds.
Yes, there is. That's certainly to be true. I'm not sure how many applicants there are. I'm most familiar with the school process just only because we went through it, but I'm happy to see how many applicants versus how many awardees there were last year.
I know they had specific requirements. We will fund some portion of the new school as long as you have this, that, or the other thing, and I'm sure they have the same kind of state requirements for firehouses and things like that.
Well,
so those kind of requirements might take into account some of the lessons learned from making mistakes on prior construction.
Yes, sir, I'd agree. And I'd also say, though, only relative to the school, because the schools, they're moving towards compliance with actual education standards. Mm-hmm. Obviously here, we're all educated, we're all working or retired. There's a little more flexibility with senior centers. So we'll have a little more wiggle room along those lines. But you're absolutely right. The MSBA has pretty strict requirements. This is the minimum class space, this is the minimum gym space, and what have you. I'm happy to check, but from what I remember last time reading through this, we have a little more wiggle room of what all of you would like to see versus what the state would require for
Thank you.
a grant. My pleasure.
Thank you for your question.
Anybody else? Mr. Curran? Mr. Curran, do you have any comments you'd like to make?
No, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the commissioners? Well, I'd like to make a couple comments. The other day, I was sitting out here by the nurse's office, and the door to the basement was open. And the lady from the somatic was, excuse me? Ceramics, I'm sorry, was downstairs, and in a certain part of the process, you have to spray the ceramics with a spray. And I was sitting at the top of the stairs, and I started getting dizzy, and then two ladies come up. I said, "How'd you make it up the stairs?" And she said, "Well, you know, there used to be a fan down there that's been removed, and also the killer's down there." So that's one problem that when we build a new senior center, it has to be taken into consideration. A room for the kill that has to be fireproof, and a room for her to do a spraying. The other thing I would like to bring up is that we only have one exit that has a ramp, right here. Every other exit has a step. So I'd like to make sure that, you know, when we do a new senior center, that the exits are, you know, made really for handicap accessible. Anybody else? Okay.
Before we close? Can I just add something before we close?
Yes, you may.
So first of all, you know, I have to say I'm extremely impressed for our group here today. Not only we have you know, residents that have come forward to listen, but I do have to give kudos and a total appreciation to the selectmen to be able to be coming out here and voicing the fact that they're all a team, no matter that they might have go about things in different ways, but they all see us as this population as needing a senior center. And they might think about it going about a different way, but again, they see it as a need. And I appreciate that they share that it's not only one of them, it's a group of them. They all feel that way. And the fact that they all spoke highly of one another, that is what each other is looking for us, I appreciate that, and I want to say thank you very much. Yeah. I also want to thank you very much for Senator Tarr's office having Representative and also Representative Robertson feeling the need to be able to come out here and listen to us and share and put in some comment. I think it's a great time in the sense that we are all listening to one another, we all trying to move forward, and we're all trying to figure out in the best way. But just as our theme goes, and it will always go, is better together. And we cannot do this alone. We need everybody in this room to make this work. And I hope, Selectman McCoy, with what you're saying, thank you so much for trying to do the next step forward for us. I appreciate that. And hopefully we will be on the warrant for 2020, and we'll see what we need. And our group looks very much forward to meeting and sitting in front of you on December 16th. So thank you very, very much.
One last thing, when we have a meeting at Town Hall or any place else, please, when you come, bring a buddy, okay? And carpool if you have to, but get to the meetings. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned. Oh, I'm sorry.
I know we're on a high.
Do we have a motion to close the meeting? Adjourn.
I make a motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry. Meeting is adjourned.